Hello everyone, today I want to say a story about the golden egg. In a valley tucked between blue mountains, there was a village where apricot trees leaned over mud brick walls and the river talked all evening. People there believed that good things grew slowly, bread rose by waiting, friendships ripened by listening, and a harvest was a promise you kept to the land. Among those villagers lived a widow named Mara and her son, Sammy. They had 2 goats, a small garden, and a hen named Katan who pecked like a queen inspecting her kingdom. Life was simple and honest, but also thin. Some weeks Mara measured flour by the breath in her lungs, exhaling carefully so none would spill. One spring dawn, after rain had rinsed the dust from the pomegranate leaves, Sammy went to the henhouse with a yawn and a basket. He expected the warm, ordinary gift of an egg. Instead, in the straw lay a shining oval, heavy as a stone and bright as the noon sun. He froze, then reached out. The egg glowed like a thought becoming true. "Mama," he whispered, though no one could hear him but the birds, "it's gold." Mara came running. She cupped the egg in her palms. It was not painted. It was gold, solid and sure. They wrapped it in a shawl and hurried to the jeweler, a careful man whose eyes were little scales weighing truth and lies. He tapped the egg, scratched it lightly, held it to the light, then nodded, overwhelmed. "It is pure," he said. "This could buy grain for the village, mend the bridge, repair the school roof, and still leave you enough to sleep without worry for a very long time." The village council gathered under the mulberry tree. Voices rose and fell. Some said, "Sell it all at once." Others said, "Keep it as treasure, treasures grow more valuable with time." Only Mara stayed quiet, her thumb moving over the smooth shell. Katan clucked, as if bored by the fuss. In the end, Mara made a proposal. "Let's sell enough to repair the bridge before the snowmelt floods the river. We'll store the rest safely. If Katan lays another, we'll share the benefit again." It was agreed. They sold a third of the egg to the merchants of the city, who cut it carefully. The bridge was fixed with cedar beams. The school's roof stopped weeping. Mara and Sammy bought sacks of flour, oil, and a new blue dress for Katan, a ridiculous ribbon that made her look like a small lady general. Days passed. People waited with a collective held breath. Then, as if the world kept its side of a deal, Katan laid his second golden egg. This time, smaller than the first, but no less impossible. Whispers began. "If the hen lays golden eggs, how many will she lay? 10? 100? Enough to turn the valley into a palace?" Greed, like drought, hides in the soil until the sun coaxes it out. A trader from distant plains arrived with glittering talk. "Why sell a piece at a time?" he urged Mara. "Bring me the hen, and I will pay you for all her eggs ahead. Think of the comfort, the relief. No more waiting." Mara looked at Sammy. Sammy looked at Katan, who was sneaking a seed from the trader's boot, unimpressed by economics. "We will not sell her," Mara said. "If she lays, she lays. If she stops, we still have our lives." The trader smiled a narrow smile and left. At first, patience came easily. The valley prospered quietly. A third egg paid the doctor to stay through winter, a fourth repaired the irrigation channels. The village began to believe in a rhythm. The hen would gift a miracle, and the miracle would become a road, a roof, a warm meal, and there would be enough. Then came a hard summer. Rains faltered. The river drew its ribs. Katan stopped laying any eggs at all, even the ordinary kind. People grew anxious. The same mouths that had blessed Katan now asked questions with sharp edges. "What if she is tired?" some asked gently. "What if we fed her better?" Others muttered darker things. "What if the gold is inside her, and we are fools for waiting?" A rumor crept like smoke: if you open a miracle, you can harvest it all at once. Sammy heard this and trembled. One afternoon he found Mara staring at the henhouse, her face a battlefield of thoughts. "We will not harm her," Mara said at last, but the way she said it made it sound like she was also saying it to herself. That night, the trader returned. No one had invited him, and stood outside their door with a lantern and a smile that pretended to be kind. "I'll take the hen off your trembling hands," he offered. "You are tired, I see it. Let me make you rich and free of worry." Mara led him to the mulberry tree, where the council waited, called hurriedly by Sammy. The trader laid out silver coins on a cloth, a shimmering river. The village leaned forward, thirsty. Before anyone could speak, the oldest woman in the village, Auntie Ghoul, walked in slowly, leaning on a stick that had known many roads. "I was a girl when the old mine still sang," she said. "Men dug too much, too fast, and the mountain fell in. The gold inside the earth is like the kindness inside a person. Take it by knife, and you kill what gave it." She turned to Catan, who had followed because she followed everything. "If you are a miracle," Auntie Ghoul whispered to the hen, "you owe us nothing. But if we are worthy, perhaps you will trust us again." The trader laughed. "Hen words and old stories," he said. "This is the world, take the chance or lose it." Sammy surprised himself by standing. His knees shook but his voice kept its shape. "You talk about chance," he said, "but we built the bridge with patience. We fixed the roof with patience. We shared. That's why the village is still a village. We are not going to carve up a living thing to satisfy a hungry rumor." Silence stretched like a drum, then thumped with one brave clap, from the blacksmith, whose roof no longer leaked. Then another, from the teacher whose classroom no longer smelled of rot. One by one, palms met until the night was applause. The trader gathered his coins like a defeated river and slipped away. The summer grew harder before it gave up its grudge. The fields crisped. People rationed water. They ate more lentils and less bread. And yet nobody came to Mara's door with knives or plans. They came with carrots, with jokes, with news. Together, they waited. On the first cool morning of autumn, when the mountains wore new shadows and the apricot leaves turned coins of copper, Sammy opened the coop with the old basket under his arm. Catan waddled out with bored dignity, and in her nest lay something round and brown, an ordinary egg, warm and humble. Sammy laughed until he had tears. He ran to Mara. "She laid," he shouted. "It's not gold, but it is breakfast," Mara finished, kissing his hair. Word spread. People came by to rejoice in the normalcy of it, as if a simple egg were proof that the world still worked. And that afternoon, when the sun tilted and the village breathed easier, Catan did something she had never done before. She returned to her nest and laid a second egg, not brown, not white, but a gentle, candlelit gold. Not pure metal, no jeweler would cut it, but a shell the color of honey, soft and shimmering. Sammy touched it. It was light, not heavy like the treasure eggs. It would break if you squeezed. He called Mara. She held it to the window. The sunlight made it glow from inside, like a lamp at dusk. He looked closer and gasped. The shell had tiny whorls, like writing. When they turned it, the curves aligned into a pattern, a map of the valley, the river, the bridge, the school, the irrigation lines, drawn in delicate gold. They did not sell that egg. They boiled it gently, then peeled it with reverence. Inside, the yolk was bright and ordinary. Mara sliced the egg into many pieces, and the village shared it under the mulberry tree. Everyone laughed at the taste, which was simply egg, and yet no one forgot the map on the shell. They washed it, dried it, and mounted it on the school wall, a reminder that not all golden things are meant to be traded. That winter, Catan returned to laying regular eggs. Sometimes, after a festival or a well-dug trench, she would lay one with that candlelit gold, a thin, fragile beauty. Each carried a different pattern, once a wheat sheaf, once a circle of hands, once a hen crowned with a ridiculous ribbon. The village kept those shells in the school, a little museum of gratitude. As for the heavy golden eggs, none came again. People wondered if they had been sent to start something and then stepped aside once their work was done. They did not chase the mystery too hard. They had work, to plant, to mend, to watch for each other's shadows and light. Years later, when Sammy was a young man and Auntie Gould had given her stick to the next elder, travelers passed through and asked, "Is this the valley with the golden hen?" Sammy smiled. "It's the valley with the good bridge," he said, "the dry roof, the doctor who stayed, and the school where the walls are stories." And Catan, old now but still bossy, pecked at their boots as if to say, "Don't forget breakfast." The travelers laughed, and the valley carried on rich not because it had once held a treasure, but because it had learned how to hold itself. Moral: some gifts save us once. Patience and sharing save us every day.